The majority of the world's population is young people under the age of 25, but all the decisions that are made are primarily made by people over the age of 50. Why is that, and do young people care about this? Joining me today to have this discussion is a young person. You're young, Auntie Denzel.
Yeah.
Is a young person called Denzel, who's going to walk us through why young people should care about national development, decision making, policy making, and all that good stuff. So Denzel, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us more about yourself, a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Thank you so much, Melinda, and thank you for having me. So from the dusty streets of Nkulumane comes a young man by the name Denzel Mlala, a young man driven by a subconscious mind that seeks to erupt into the highest echelons of success. I am someone who is so passionate about youth development, and I, for one, am an entrepreneur where we have managed to establish quite a number of businesses and projects with my friends. I'm involved in a company called Kreluki Petroleum Solutions, which is led by my friend Craig Tsapontuli, who is the CEO, and as well as SK Broiler Farm, which is also led by my friend Mvenhle Mabutos Kosana. So in a nutshell, that's me. And I'm also a student at NAST, where I'm studying Information Management and Technology, Part 2-2. So I'm looking forward to going for attachment as soon as possible.
Welcome to the screenshot, and what an impressive resume. It's very impressive. So let's get into it, Denzel. To you, what is national development? First, before we get into why young people should care about it, but what is national development?
I feel like national development speaks to the planning and implementation of whatever agendas are paramount to the smooth running of a nation. So I feel like maybe I would say that's national development.
And do you think young people are invested into national development? Do they seek it out? Do they find information about it? Are we actively involved in national development planning, etc.?
Well, there is a distribution among a number of youths that are involved in youth development. Some are involved and some are not, due to quite a number of factors, which some of them encompass ignorance and things such as misinformation. And there are some youths who are naturally forthcoming in terms of youth development, who are actually worried about the nation's tomorrow. So, yeah.
So some of us are interested, some of us are not.
Yes.
So my question, the first question that I wanted to ask is, why should we care? Why is it important for young people to care about what is happening right now and planning for the future? Why is it our concern? Or really, we can think about it in 10 years time or something like that. Why should we care?
I think it's important. Well, in light of that, allow me to use an analogy of a household with a problematic child in contrast to a household with a responsible child. You see, a household that has a problematic child, for example, let's say that child breaks a class, the whole household is affected economically and somehow in other spheres. So, you get to experience things like when month end comes, when the parents get paid, they have to channel some funds in repairing or replacing the broken glass, which affects the whole household and its economy. Well, and in contrast to a household with a responsible child, if that child goes out to hustle, right, and brings something at home, for example, let's say they bring bread on the table, it means $1 is saved. So here we have two scenarios where there is a child who is giving and there is a child who is taking from their household. So youth participation in national development means we should give to our nation. It means we should exercise our skills and our knowledge or whatever expertise that we have accumulated. Some of us are now graduates, they need to actually put their skills and their expertise into the nation, giving to the nation. So whatever you do, as I've just used that analog of the households, it's either you are taking from your nation or you are giving into your nation. So there are many ways in which the youths can participate in national development. Some are entrepreneurs who generate revenue into the economy of Zimbabwe. I'm reminded of a friend, Mvenhle Kosana, who is a prolific businessman in the broiler industry, where he has managed to acquire a vast market in the diaspora, where his clients pay him through international remittances. So now Zimbabwe benefits from those remittances because annually Zimbabwe generates about $1 billion from international remittances, and which accounts for 16% of our GDP as a nation. So there are many ways in which the youth can participate. So you can participate as an entrepreneur by generating income to the nation, which is giving to the nation, which is securing the future. So it is of paramount importance for the youths to actually invest into the nation's development, because if we are doing so, we are also securing our future and our tomorrow.
All right, so let's say I want to be a giver to the nation and not a taker, and I'm actually looking to it. What challenges do most young people face when it comes to being the giver, contributing? You know, sometimes you might actually want to, but you don't have the means, you know, but you want to do it. What type of challenges do most young people encounter when it comes to being the giver to a nation? I think I'm going to start calling it giving, you know, not being part of national development, but giving towards the nation, and not just taking.
Okay. Well, as I have mentioned, some of the challenges that are actually hindering the youths from giving to the nation are misinformation and ignorance. Ignorance can also be deliberate, and some people may not do it deliberately because they may come from less privileged places like the rural areas. You know, there is, when I'm talking about misinformation, you see now there is a lot of social media that the youth are consuming, and in social media platforms there is also a lot of propaganda that is being shared there, which the youths consume too much, and it has actually made them to be hopeless about national development agendas and all that, which has actually made them to draw back from participating in national development. So, do
you have any examples of the misinformation that the young people are consuming that is leading them to being ignorant, like you say?
Yeah, for example, I was looking at this other tweet yesterday where someone tweeted that he posted a picture of haulage trucks that were in transit to Mozambique. That person tweeted and said that these are trucks that are actually smuggling our minerals out of the country. But then in response to that, there were people who were commenting saying, no, this is misinformation. These trucks belong to so and so, and there was actually solid evidence. So if you are just a youth who is quick to consume such information, you think our nation is so invested in destruction and smuggling goods out of the country, whilst we are supposed to be benefiting. So youths have to develop a skill of verifying true information and lies.
Okay. So were you done with your previous point?
No. So, okay, maybe let me go on with ignorance. So part of the challenges, as I mentioned, there's information, there's also ignorance. There are some youths who are so privileged, who have the resources to actually take part and learn how to give to the nation. But they are just lying idle. They do not care because they think maybe participating in national development agendas means you now have to affiliate to politics, you now have to belong to a certain political party, you see, which is something that is not true. So I feel like there's a lot of ignorance from the youth. It's because some are privileged and they have so much information that they are not utilizing. For example, just now the president just launched a digital skills program where they are targeting to educate about 1.5 million youths in software engineering and digital analytics and all the tech related subjects. But you get to meet a youth who does not know anything about that. But at home they have television, they have access to Wi-Fi, they have everything. So they are ignorant, they are much invested on things that do not matter, instead of looking for information that can help them develop and actually secure their future for the nation.
Okay, I hear you. So speaking about technology, You know, I want to know how we can. So, you know, social media and technology is
Yes.
part of our everyday lives. You know,
Yes.
it's something that we consume on a daily basis
Yes.
from when we wake up. So, how do we use technology and social media to help young people to get into giving into the country and not just taking, and, you know, being part of decision making when it comes to things that are being done? Because most young people, like you mentioned, we don't really know what is going on in our country.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not because the information is not available to us, but you know, you just don't want to, you know, your time is not, you've got better things to do, you can say, with your time. So how do we use social media and technology to better our nation?
Well, speaking about social media and technology, I'm also reminded of a friend, Craig Zepontuli, who is the CEO.
You have many friends.
Of Kreluki
Who are CEOs.
Yes. You should position yourself. So he also likes to say you should position yourself strategically, such that you can be involved in development of the nation. Because he always mentions that development begins with involvement. So the youth must be involved in technology. Right now, there is the advent of artificial intelligence, where a lot is happening with AI. And I feel like there's a lot of energy that is being washed down the drain from the youth. The youth are supposed to use technology in advancing our nation's agendas. Let's have things like digital advocacy. Let's have digital storytelling, where the youths can share their experiences on how they have managed to actually get to a certain level in life, or on how they have managed to affiliate with national development agendas, because it is not everyone who is not participating. We have youths who are participating. I'm also reminded of youths who are at NAST, who actually went to a competition, an innovative competition, an international competition. Those youths come from a group called Enactors, who managed to win an international award by being involved and by using technology. So their project was on how to convert plastic into diesel. They realized that 9% of Bulawayo's population is made out of plastic, and they derived a process called pyrolysis, where they can turn that plastic into diesel. So, which is something innovative that the youths need to actually focus on. So there's a lot that our youths can do with technology. I mean, let's have youths creating AI that can supply us with data, such as in vernacular, in our native languages. Let's have a youth providing you information in Shona, in Isindebele, and all that. Where are the youths? They should actually take a stand to actually use technology in productive ways. So there are many ways in which technology can be used to drive our nation. If you look at places like the US, Silicon Valley, it is youth dominated. So we need our youth to also invest in technology, because there is a lot we can do. Also, take a look at China, where children from a tender age are being taught on how to solve problems using technology. You know, some of the cars that we are driving here are being made by young children there in China. So we may call them these ex-chaps and all that, but it's a young child who was taught how to make that car. But as for us this side, we are not focusing on those areas. So let's try to infuse a change, you know, so that we can also develop our nation using that form of technology.
All right, I liked your question. Where are the youths? I did like that. Okay, let's do a rapid fire, a lightning round, and so you can answer a few questions that I'm going to ask you, but they'll be fast.
Okay.
You know, hence the word lightning. Okay, where did I put it? My first question to you is, what is the biggest myth about young people in politics? Something that is not true. What's the biggest myth about young people in politics?
I would say controversy.
Controversy?
Yeah.
One policy you would change immediately if you had the power. If you had power to change a policy, which one would it be?
Social media engagement.
Social media engagement?
Yeah.
Education or action? What would you prefer? Education or action?
Action.
Action?
Yes.
Okay. Well, who's one youth leader who inspires you in our country?
I'll speak of Tapiwa Mavima, Paul Tapiwa Mavima.
Okay.
Yes.
If young people ran the country, what's the first thing that they would change, do you think? What's the first thing that young people would change if they ran the country?
Politics.
Politics?
Yeah.
Okay. What's more powerful, social media activism or community work?
Community work.
Community work.
Yeah.
Okay. My last question. This is okay. One skill every young person should learn for the future.
Artificial intelligence.
You reckon? You seem to be very passionate about AI.
Yeah,
okay,
technology.
so my last question to you, Denzel, you're 22 years old.
Yes.
That is considered young. That is a young person.
Yes.
But your passion for national development, entrepreneurship, anything that is related to advancing young people, amplifying their voices, seems to be what you are all about. How did you get so passionate about it? Is it something that you grew up seeing, or you saw, or no, man? When it comes to young people, what made you want to be involved in dealing with young people and their growth and development?
Well, I realized that there is a loophole amongst the young people developing and the young people participating in national development agendas. So what made me want to participate in such things or in such areas was that I felt challenged every now and then when I saw people who are young thriving in terms of business, in terms of politics and all other things. So I would always pose a question to myself and some of my friends to say, why are we not there? What's hindering us from being there? So then that's when I had to figure out that no, if you are a youth, you need to think about tomorrow. It is not always the case yokuthi uzahlala ungaka or uzahlala umncane. You know, we are growing. So also we need to actually think about the future. So it led me to a point whereby I had to come up with a strategy of positioning myself strategically with people who are already in leadership positions. You know, people whom I can get mentorship from, people whom I can also acquire knowledge in order to pass to other youths who are in my age group, and some whom I study with and some whom I associate with, so that we can also put ourselves in a position to actually take a step towards developing the nation. So if we drop back, there won't be a future for Zimbabwe. So that is something that has been bothering me for quite a long time, and it is something that has challenged me to actually take part in national development agendas. I mean, if you take a look at, we have prolific figures, philanthropists who are in business, the likes of Scott Sakupwanya. That guy is doing civic work down there in Mavuku, where he comes from. And I was listening to this podcast where he was being interviewed by Danny J, where he was being asked, Uguti, what made him what actually made him to be that big? He told Danny that he was an inquisitive young man who would see the likes of Philip Chiangwa driving big, nice cars, but he would go to those guys and ask how they got there. He would not ask money from them. So I feel like as the youth, we need to have that mindset of being inquisitive. Let us research and feel challenged. If we see someone driving a nice car, let us be motivated to say, I want to get there. Let us not be invested in saying, no, these people are thieves and all that. No, let us actually come up with something positive that can help us to also reach that level. Because, I mean, if we have all youths being invested in development and who are, passionate about entrepreneurship, passionate about politics, passionate about the development of the nation at large, we could be further, we could go miles and miles as Zimbabwe. So I'm challenging the youths to be inquisitive and to actually carry out researches on how best they can participate as well. So those are some of the things that actually made me to also become passionate about youth engagement in national development.
Thank you so much. That was very inspirational. I feel like I'm also going to go out there and start a business and give to the to the country. Thank you so much for joining me on the screenshot today. I learned something, and I hope our viewers also learned something. Like Denzel said, let us be inquisitive, let us do our research, let us find out how certain people get to certain areas. Let's not relax and say, you said we shouldn't say people are thieves, right?
Yes.
Not everyone has stolen to have what they have. And so can you please be inquisitive and do your research? Thank you so much for joining us and watching the screenshot today. Leave a like, a comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook pages, TikTok. You can find us on every social media platform. Let's keep the conversation going. So until next week, bye.